Going live. Everybody, we're going live. That's my song.
Oh, we're here. We did it.
Yay. Okay. Things and words.
Go watch us.
If you
And then shit your pants.
if you're like me, don't watch us. I have a hunch it's a bad movie for me to watch.
Don't watch us if you're Nixie. But if you're like the torture of it all, go watch us and shit your pants every time you walk near your reflection.
Yeah.
Just near it.
Here's the thing. I did because I was curious. Here's the thing. So sometimes movies like this where I know I'm not going to go watch them,
Yeah.
I'll just go read the wiki plot summary. So I did. So I know what happens. And yeah, should never watch us.
It's still, yeah. I feel like even if I read the wiki plot and then watched it, I would still shit my pants.
Oh, that's hence why I'm never going to watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's because like knowing what's coming doesn't mitigate.
Yeah.
Sometimes spoilers don't
the
really
yuck
do
part,
anything.
yeah. Just be in a good headspace.
I don't know if
when
you
you
can
gotta watch
after
it.
watch because you won't be after.
You won't. You
Yeah.
won't. It's one of those movies like Requiem for a Dream.
It can only make things worse.
Don't watch this if you're not feeling great. But
I
also
feel like that applies to most
definitely watch
horror
it.
films.
I guess so. Well, no, some of them are just funny. But that's also my weird
That's
take on
well,
horror.
But it depends on the type. I mean, Shaun of the Dead is Shaun of the Dead. Like,
Well, see, I don't know that I consider it horror, but I get you.
okay, I get. Then how about Cabin in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods is funny.
Yeah.
Or like Scream is funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are fine.
Exorcist is funny.
Exorcist is funny if you
It is
rewatch it now.
Freaking hilarious.
What did we rewatch recently? If you want like to have a laugh, watch The Omen.
Oh, I don't know if I ever saw
watch
The Omen.
The Omen and watch it on like our nice big TVs that people have now.
Uh-huh.
And you're just gonna be like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's like watching the unremastered original Star Wars on like high def, where you're like, there's the cutout.
You're like, oh look, there's the dog handler and 3 of his buddies. And then it's like, that dog is clearly smiling. There's no desire
That
to
is
kill
just
anyone.
a happy corgi.
Yeah.
The happiest of corgis.
But also watch Captain Marvel.
Oh my gosh, Captain! Did you finally see it?
I did see it finally last night.
Isn't it? We should talk about Captain Marvel. Wait that for the main cast.
Okay. I'll say it.
Should I talk about what I did yesterday in the main cast real quick or no?
Feel free, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that in the main cast as well. So let's just get to the main cast, shall we?
To the cast.
What episode number?
166.
Welcome to episode 166 of There's No Place Like Terra, a Stargate First Watch Rewatch podcast. I am Nixie.
And I'm Grace, and today we are watching Atlantis Season 1, Episode 7, Poisoning the Well, aka Thanos' buddy, the Chancellor.
Yeah, no, I was going to make a Thanos joke as well. Thanos' snap.
Yeah.
Thanos isn't a bad guy. He's just a bad guy.
He's just a bad guy.
Yeah. This is 100%. Well, it's the Thanos rationale. I feel if you want to sink it down, it's the Thanos rationale.
I'm gonna call it the Thanos rationale.
Yeah. So before we get to the episode, so there's two things we wanted to discuss that we held off from the Patreon side. The first is both of us have now seen Captain Marvel.
I finally saw Captain Marvel.
And here's my take of, I knew going into Captain Marvel, I didn't want it to be like anything more than how do I phrase this? I didn't want it to be some like touchstone movie making commentary about feminism and shit. And I think it was successful in not doing that while also being very true to being a feminist film, if that.
Okay. I think that
in terms of because it is her, she's like not giving it. You hear the commentary of, hey babe, why don't you smile?
Right.
And all of these things without making a big deal about it. They just had it in the film.
Right. I think it's very important to remember that we're coming from the female perspective.
Yes.
So I think they did a great job of making it from that perspective.
And I think that's what I mean by making it a feminist film. It was a movie from a female perspective, almost for a female perspective.
Yes.
That's what I mean by it was a feminist film without being like, I'm a feminist film.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that just based on people I've talked to who are male, they felt a couple things that were like, that felt personal, and they were great conversations. Yeah. But here's the conclusion I came to. There's also this idea that people are talking where they're like, I just don't like Brie Larson. You know what? I don't care. I don't care if you like her or not. No. And I don't care if you dislike the words she said before the movie or not. Yeah, like this is about the movie. Yes. And then I will address that stuff too, but that comes after. Yeah. The movie does a great job of showing things from the female perspective. Because it's things that we experience and feel on a day-to-day basis, they don't seem big to us. It doesn't seem obvious that the guy talked to her, because every woman deals with that. Yes. It doesn't seem obvious that Jude Law's character's name, I can't remember, is kind of oppressive. Yes. And it doesn't seem obvious to us that all the Krull are coded male until we realize that they're good guys. Exactly. So all of those things don't seem obvious. They're just part of what existence is when you exist as a female in our world. I can see how from a male point of view, those things stick out a little more. And that's fine. I still think the movie works. Yeah. I think there's one crucial scene that makes it work. Spoilers if you have not watched. Yeah, close your eyes or close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your ears for about 30 seconds. So there's a fight before the final fight, because to me the final fight is where she's saving Earth. But the fight before was the Jude Law character, where he's like, "Can you finally prove it that you're this and you're that, blah blah blah." And there's all this buildup, and she just goes, "I don't have to prove shit to you." Exactly. That was like the masterpiece moment. And I think I actually sent an article, or it's like a brief wording to a bunch of us girls that all have the same thing, and it was talking about how there's a fair amount of critics, a lot of them happen to have been male, who pointed out that at the end, they didn't feel like there was this emotional climax. They didn't feel like she confronted, the issue at hand, or she made a big thing. And they're like, but that's the whole point. That's the part that's not for anyone but he wanted her to get super pissed and to come at and rage at him. Yeah. And her, like, the fact that she was calm and didn't get emotional and went, no, I'm just gonna fucking deal with this, with the issues, and fuck you, like that. And there's, and there's other parts of the film that I'm sorry, I cut you off. It's more of just like, there's so many times where the strongest thing a woman can do is not get emotional, is not get revenge. The strongest thing a woman can do is fucking walk away, and not give in to the emotion of it, or even just it's about being completely self-assured and like, I don't have to prove this to you. Yeah, you want whether it's emotional or not. Yeah. Whether you're telling me to cry or not cry or smile or whatever the fuck you're wanting me to do, I'm gonna do what I want. Exactly. And what I want to do is this thing. Exactly. Because sometimes it is getting emotional. Yeah. And people are telling you not to, but you know what? Fuck off. Yeah. This is what I need to do. Exactly. And ultimately that's what I need. And there was other parts of the movie where I will take the critiques, like I can see them. Yeah. I was talking to someone about film in any way. They're like, she's not very funny. She's not Iron Man. And her quips, no one in the theater was laughing at. And I was like, I'll give you that. And that part was true. But I almost don't know that she's supposed to be. She's not. Maybe she's built to be that, or maybe that's the actress, or maybe that was her internalizing it even further. Like, this is only meant to entertain me. It's because I appreciate the fact that it was one of those cases where it may have not felt like perfect for the movie or the character, but it felt perfect in like realisticness of like, she's just some dry sarcasm that happens to be realistic. It doesn't. Someone who's sarcastic and dry is not always funny to everyone else. And I'll give you that. She's not the funniest of heroes, and that's fine. And I'll take that critique. She is one of the driest. She definitely. She's not that. And there's an expected superhero. There's an expected stereotype of like the funny guy, the funny quippy
Yeah.
person who can get into it.
And I'm glad she didn't fall into that.
She didn't, and maybe that's part of it. Is people are like, well, this is what I expected.
Yeah.
But again, that's not what she's meant to be.
She's not.
And ultimately, I know there was like this whole controversy over Brie Larson and the things she said before the movie, so I came at that from a communications major. Like there was one bit where she literally said, "This is not for 40-year-old men."
Yeah.
I don't want 40-year-old men to come to the movie. And so that's where, and the reason I want to address this is because it's one of the things I like to stay aware of. There's a difference between working for equality and inclusion versus doing it at the risk of excluding others.
Yeah.
So there's a way I think that we can say, this movie is built for women.
Yes.
If you happen to like it and you're a 40-year-old man,
rock
cool.
on. Yeah.
If not, that's okay.
It's there's a difference saying that this is written from a perspective of
which, and I think that may have been a misstep, but in the long run, if there's a couple missteps and feelings get hurt along the way, eat a dick.
Kind of just a big one. Just
like I appreciate
lollipop the dick.
Yeah, like I appreciate the idea of like, hey, this could have been handled differently.
Yeah,
absolutely, it could have. But in the long run of working towards what we're working for,
well,
sometimes you have to smash a couple.
There's also
things.
Just this concept of sometimes people make poor choice of words. You also have to. Sometimes you can't take words at face value. Yeah. And it's like, if you look at the consistency of what it was said about a lot of things, it was not meant necessarily to imply that. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to take the intent behind the words as much as the actual words themselves. Words don't exist in a vacuum.
Also, if you want to be outraged by it and then go be outraged by it.
Yeah, I have better shit to do.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine too. People are going, there's in the struggle to change the way things are, some people's feelings will get hurt. I loved it. I just have to say my favorite moment of the film is one where it's interesting again from perspective. Okay. That it's a music choice, and it's going to be minor spoilers of one music choice. Yeah. Yes. Now one part that there is a song choice of when she's finally starting to like. She turns the switch basically and starts fighting on her own terms. No Doubt, I'm Just a Girl starts playing. I actually wrote an entire paper on that.
And I will tell you,
I'm not kidding.
There has been few points of my movie going experience where I have been more fucking delighted by that single moment in my entire life. And it's listening to a bunch to other people. There is a very clear line about people who either enjoyed that musical choice or can't stand that musical choice. And I will tell you, pretty sure that music choice was directly aimed towards people who were teenage girls in the 90s. Yeah. Because
it's tongue-in-cheek the way the song is tongue-in-cheek, the way the movie's trying to be tongue-in-cheek.
And it was the most perfect choice. And it's interesting how the people who are like, that song choice was dumb. It just took me out of the moment. I was like, No, it cemented me so deep into the moment.
That's funny because I don't know that I've heard that, but I will tell you, it was a perfect week at school where part of my homework was to write a paper that involved
If there's distractions this episode, there is a Nick who's power washing the house. So if you hear power washing noises or extra dog barks, it is because the house is getting washed.
I'm gonna try to
sharks in the background of the video part of this cast.
Or do you think it's safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part.
So I got this perfectly timed assignment for my history of music class, where we had to analyze a movie, a TV show, and a commercial, and pull a song from it that was not directly written for it. Okay. And write on why it was used, where it was used, who composed it. Okay. And what the demographic is and why we think this was effective or not effective. Yeah. So I obviously
shows I'm just a girl in the middle.
I had actually already done this. Okay, nerd time. Yeah. I had already done the homework.
And you
with a different song.
I love it.
And I was like, I gotta redo this.
I love it. I love that nerd brain.
But that's our take on Captain Marvel. Go watch it. Go watch it. If nothing else, if you're on the fence, if you're not coming from the female point of view, go watch it so you can get the entirety of the Avengers.
Yes.
But it's well done. It's eye candy. It's beautiful.
It's fun.
It is fun. I had fun.
If nothing else, have fun with the young Sam Jackson.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And a cat.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of a backstory of
like
something with Sam Jackson
we
we didn't know about. And R.I.P. in peace, Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster.
But that, and then go creep yourself out and watch us. And then next week you can watch Shazam.
I'm kind of excited for Shazam.
Yes.
So my one brief tangent before we get into this.
Oh boy.
Well, we're gonna be starting the episode like 15 minutes into the episode.
Yeah. So just forward a little bit, 5 more minutes.
So because my story deals with beer and yarn, like it's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
It's the perfect Nixie storm. And sometimes Nick walks in with random plants and puts them in their face while we're recording.
That was why we paused. I'm not even going to edit that one out.
So
it's not like it happens on random occasions.
So yesterday there is an event here in Central Florida called the Yarn Lounge. A shout out to those people who listen to this who have fun with yarn. And basically it's an event where there's a couple of indie dyers and it happens at a local brewery we haven't been to. And there's a food truck and I bought some yarn.
All the yarn.
I bought some yarn.
I'm going to say that you bought a month's worth of groceries worth of yarn.
I had some fun with the squishies and had some good beer. And, Nick was there and he's the one that went, you should buy a sweater's quantity of this. And I went, okay.
I mean, if you're going to tell me to, I'm gonna.
Also, I'm not wearing it today and I forgot about it. I got a cool new bracelet. It's leather and it's a ruler that wraps twice around my wrist and then clasps. So I have like an 18-inch ruler with me at all times.
Where did you get that?
At one of the yarn booths.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. Guys, I had a lot of fun. Nick at one point turned because one of our buddies was supposed to come and drink beer and game with him and he couldn't come. And so Nick still came, to give him credit. But at one point he's like, I need to go.
I'm done here.
He got really bored. There was like, I think 3 other husbands there.
Yeah.
And like 200
They should have had
women.
like a husband waiting area.
Probably.
Or something.
Would have been smart.
And not even husband, just non-knitter waiting area.
Non-knitter area.
With maybe some puppies and some beer.
Again, if you are at all interested in knitting or yarn or anything, remember I have an Instagram at Infinite Knits. There'll be pictures posted already when this goes out of my loot. Okay.
Why are we here again?
At the Stargate.
Yes, that's right.
August 20th, 2004.
Ciao.
This is written by Damon Kindler, directed by Brad Turner. So there's really no Perna. We've seen before.
Okay.
An episode of SG1.
She looks familiar.
Yeah, remember the Cure where they're like, "Hey, let's use the Gould Queen." For medical research.
She's really good at these episodes.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, girl.
Okay, so
great.
We start with an actual civilization.
Yes, it looks like Florence.
I mean to say settled, like the Athosians are also a civilization, but you know what I mean.
Modernish.
Yes.
Modernish. It somehow reminds me of Florence.
A little steampunky.
Yeah.
They're playing with geothermal vents, so literal steam.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Chancellor Durin is explaining how the power is one of the biggest concerns here. So they're developing a geothermal energy system, which actually shocks McKay, since this all seems way too primitive to use geothermal energy. So, by the way, the planet is really hot on the inside.
Weird.
Is what happens. And the core of the Earth is just a solid
hot planet,
crazy, hot core of iron and nickel.
Iron and nickel.
Got a fever of the surface of the sun. I don't know, forget the temperature. But yeah, the core of the Earth is the temperature of the surface of the sun.
Wow.
Like it'd be fucking hot in there.
Yowk.
And it
Wow.
basically, the core also is just under 3/4 the size of the moon. So it's a big old core
Okay.
down there.
Cool.
And that heat just kind of bleeds out towards the surface. And if you've ever been in a hot spring,
So it's just farting.
it's just farting. You ever been in it's Dutch ovening the earth?
Is that what the atmosphere there is?
Yeah, that's what the
It's like
atmosphere
it's a Dutch
is.
oven.
I mean, that's literally the atmosphere is just a Dutch oven. If you've ever been in a hot spring, geothermal energy, bitch.
I don't know that I have.
We've heard of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of
I
how
haven't.
I've missed out on things in life.
Yeah, I haven't been in one. So they're actually geothermal energy is actually pretty round, awesome sauce option for getting energy. The main downside is just location. It's
It's the
location
farting.
prohibitive. It is the farting.
Sorry.
It's location prohibitive because they're easy to do right around tectonic plate edges. Guess what? There's a bunch in California.
Yay. I know those.
So
They're like in my backyard, almost quite literally.
back in the day, they'd actually use hot springs for underground heating. So they'd use geothermal energy for underground for heating the floors, like
Oh, okay.
Roman times, yo.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. I've
Yeah.
seen it in like modern equivalent, like where you put under wooden
Yeah,
floors, people
uh-huh.
put heaters.
So
Which sounds crazy to me, but I mean, whatever works.
listen, if you've ever gotten up in the dead of winter and with like cold floors,
No, it sounds crazy to me that it can work without burning your house down.
oh yeah,
That's what I mean.
it's basically you're running just hot water.
I got it.
So
got
it's the same as a hot water heater.
Cool.
It's like the same
I'm
system.
on it.
And America's first district heating system using geothermal energy was in Boise, Idaho,
Oh, boy.
in 1892. Go Boise. And as for power generation, the United States itself generates 29% of the geothermal energy in the world.
That's a lot of numbers.
It's still a really small percentage of the global power output, though. Like, we're hoping by 2050 that it'll be 5% of the world's demand. Like, it's still
Okay.
really small. Hopefully, 50 years after that, it'll be like 10%. But
But if we could do a little more geothermal, a little more wind power,
Yeah.
a little more
Solar.
solar,
yeah,
maybe cut down on that oil, yo.
that sweet black tar. Yeah. Those poor dinosaurs. Can
They're
we
like,
can we stop putting dinosaurs in our car? I'm wearing my Land Before Time t-shirt. Can we stop putting Littlefoot in cars?
They're like,
Okay.
fuck, we died for this shit. What was I reading? I was reading something recently about how it actually, someone found a rock, a fossil.
Yeah.
I'll have to put the link up on Facebook when I
Uh-huh.
find it, on how they can see how it actually hit and how instant
Oh,
everything
yeah,
was.
no.
And how like this thing hit the earth and the crater was so high that it was like 5 times
Yeah.
the size of Everest
Yeah.
was what it shot out
Uh-huh.
to. Like, imagine something hitting so hard that what the land that shoots up around it is 5 times taller than Everest,
Yeah.
or probably some other greater number. I'm gonna find it. It's
Well,
insane.
one of the leading theories of like how the moon was formed.
It's a piece of Earth, right?
It's basically something hit in the same way.
Yeah.
It's like a protoplant hit the Earth so hard
yeah,
that it didn't just send things up into the atmosphere. It like destroyed the Earth.
yeah.
And as it was coming back together, a little piece of it didn't like.
It came loose.
Yeah, it came loose.
Goodness.
Yes. Okay. So, geothermal power is like super renewable. The Earth's not going to run out of heat anytime soon. You do have to be a little bit careful of how like hot you run it, because there's a few areas where if you run it hard enough, basically, if you steal enough heat at one super condensed area, that the water temperature in that area underneath can like lower just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it heats back up. They
Yeah,
actually, so you essentially are spinning turbines the same as you would in most power generation, but
Okay.
instead you're drawing the steam up from really deep in the earth, and that's your hot steam
Oh, dang.
to spin the turbines.
So you're basically just cycling it.
You're cycling
Yeah.
because actually they send the water that the condenses back down in the same level back under the earth to go heat up again.
Dang.
Yeah. Okay, so the people on Hoffa basically feel like they're giving the Wraith the middle finger. They aren't going to they aren't going to live in fear
Right.
of some future culling to stop them reaching culturally. because that would just be a victory.
I'll
for
give
the
them
Wraith.
that. They have courage.
Oh, it's courage, arrogance. No. Some of what they're doing is absolutely fantastic in terms of when we later find out the libraries and they're just badass attitudes against the Wraith. They get a little blinded, though, as we'll come to find out.
They do. I'm not saying that it's wisdom.
No,
They
not
do
wisdom.
definitely have courage. Yeah.
Courage, yes. They're definitely all Gryffindors.
Yeah.
So they're working on a defense, which Durin hasn't mentioned in the past 2 days of them being here, because he didn't know if they trusted these off-worlders first. And, the Wraith are going to come again. We know that, but it's probably going to be another 50 years or so. So we have time to perfect this defense. And John's like, yeah. About that.
This is not a great thing.
Credits. So Durin leads them to a whole different looking part of the base, a bit like Area 51 in 1918. Sure. I mean, Area 51 wasn't there. The area was. And Durin shows them a small vial of liquid.
Yeah. Usually red potions are good. Red potions usually healing potion, if I remember correctly.
I don't know.
But they can also be some crazy ones.
Yeah.
But you always have to do a sip test.
Always do a sip test. By default, because of colors, I would trust a blue potion before I trust a red potion.
I mean, you could.
Just by natural emotions of colors.
Yeah. That's fair.
I took a class on emotion-y, colory things.
No, it's true. See, I think red and blood.
Yeah, but red is a poison. I just see a skull and
Poison.
crossbones.
Yeah.
On
See,
it.
I wouldn't drink a green potion.
No.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
one's like, nah.
No.
You got to drink it first.
Especially if it's glowing.
Yeah.
But this little vial of liquid is something that the Hoffmans hope will make them completely immune to the Wraith. Which is, So
that's totally a thing.
So they go and report back to Weir. They have this really cool drug, but they're years away from finishing it, which McKay sort of scoffs at that, they're so full of themselves science-wise that they think they can do this, and he's a little extra smug at that.
Yeah.
Taylor's like, should we not underestimate them? Because their entire civilization is literally built around science.
Hey,
It's
maybe
specific
let's
drug.
not let our jealousy over the fact that they designed something make us want to talk down to them.
Yeah.
Because they're clearly got something going here.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And with the current, Wraith threats, John was like, hey, we can help you with that drug.
I do like the approach here, though. It's McKay's like, oh, and tell him what you did. Tell him what you did, John.
Tell him what you did, John. I'm telling Mom on you.
Yeah, I'm telling Weir on you, and then she's going to like me better, except never.
Weir's like, you told that we would help.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Uh-huh.
Glad.
Cool.
And if there's something that we can do, John says, we really should help because it can help us too. And Carson's volunteered to go.
It's like, oh, really?
Oh, has he? Well, he will.
He's being voluntold.
Cut to a very grumbly Carson on Hoffa trying to explain how being voluntold works to John. And he's like, I'm not military. You can't give me orders.
I do like it's the principle. If you watch Bob's Burgers, all I think of is that part where Bob's just like, it's the principle. It's the principle.
So McKay just points out how really he didn't want to go just because he doesn't like going through the Stargate.
Yeah.
And John compares Carson to Dr. McCoy, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Because I love Bones.
I did have to stop when I did my rewatch and I go, hey Jesse, does McCoy not like being beamed up?
He's like, he hates it.
And he goes, you talking about Star Trek? And I was like, yeah. He goes, no, he hates it.
He hates it.
And I was like, okay. He goes, is that all?
And he
because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. And he hates it for like the same reason. He's like,
yeah, I know too much.
I know too much about how this works. Breaking me apart and then putting me back together again doesn't compute.
But I liked kind of throwing him for a loop there because he's like,
is that it?
What are you doing?
And just a reminder again that Paul almost played Scotty in the new movies. And I love what's his face? We were just talking about Shaun of the Dead. Simon Pegg.
Yes.
I love Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
But I really wish Paul McGillian had played
I
Scotty
mean, I
instead.
can see why.
Yeah, now that you see, Now that you
really
have met
is
Carson,
him, yeah.
he apparently was Jimmy Doohan's family's choice
Oh,
to, and he does get a cameo in the 2009
I
film.
did not know.
Yeah,
that.
Polly has a cameo there, because they're like, yeah, we know you would be really great as Scotty, but we're gonna go with Simon Pegg.
Maybe
but that's
he's
not
his
anything
cousin, Maddie.
But yeah, I really could just now that you've met Carson. Now just imagine that lovable, just.
No, I will say the downside is that he'd be playing the same character.
But not. He's an engineer,
That's
not
fair.
a doctor.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I feel you. I'm just trying to find the silver lining.
Yeah, no, there is no silver lining to not have Paul McGillian play Scotty.
You have to just write the fanfic.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So, and what's some more of my favorite McKay and Carson banter is McKay's like, I mean, how often do you get to travel to an alien planet?
Yeah.
And Carson's like, I was already on an alien
Literally
planet.
already on an. I'm not home. I don't know how you guys quickly adjusted. And that's the truth, is they all adjusted, like, okay, this is home now, let's settle in, let's get comfy.
But Carson's
like, no, still in shock.
But Carson's also going, my home is fucking Scotland.
Yeah.
You don't forget that shit.
No, that's true.
Your home is California.
Yeah.
Nothing would compare to California.
Yeah.
That will always be home.
Yeah. Don't come talk to me about how this is home now.
Exactly.
This is never home.
Never home. Everyone asks where I'm from. I say Michigan.
Boom. Get it. Yeah.
So they make it to the lab and Carson starts tinkering with things. They've mastered biochem, physiology, some molecular biology, which is all impressive. And then
I do want to take a minute before we get to this part.
Yes.
Because he picks up a thing of potions again.
Yeah.
Now there's a red potion, which we've talked about, and a green potion, which we've talked about, and a blue potion, which again we've talked about. But there's a spotted brown potion. What the fuck could that be?
That is.
Did someone just shit in a vial? Is that just someone's sample?
Yeah, probably. It's the potion that turns you into a cow. The cow potion.
It's a cow potion. All right. Either that or like a salamander or some other.
It's a motion.
It's a motion. Please have some motion.
I really. Nefreya really needs to invent a motion now to be used in battle.
Oh yeah.
It's just a transfiguration. It's just a transfiguration potion to turn an enemy into a cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's legit has to happen.
It's gotta do something that makes them friends. Like it turns them into a good guy.
Yeah, but also a cow.
A cow good guy.
A cow good guy.
Because he is for bulk.
A cow guy.
Which is basically a cow guy.
Yeah.
So to him, it's like, well, if I turn you into a cow, then I'm turning you into something like me. So therefore, you have to be a friend. I dig it.
And then if we need to, we have rations for a bit.
Oh, I don't know that Nefreya can do that. Actually, he doesn't eat really too much.
I know, but Brass is gonna eye that cow up.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that is totally fine.
I'm not saying it's like we then slaughter him that night. I'm just saying if we then have a cow along the way, we need rations.
Oh, I'm gonna release him Nymeria style and be like, go. Go.
It's still a cow, so he's like, Murr?
And it's like, get GTFO.
Murr.
It's like Melissa from Bob's Burgers. I'm gonna have nightmares about this cow in a blonde wig. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so just then, in walks Perna.
Lady.
And I had a slightly different song.
Oh, you tell me.
Carson sees the lights dim. Never have I seen you looking at me tonight. Never seen you shine so bright, lady in white.
See, my other option, which I thought would work, was your love is like bad medicine. Bad medicine is what I need. Shake it up.
Both work. This is just the first one that popped in my head for some reason.
And I think the bad medicine one I may have taken from a Kevin Smith movie.
That's fine.
I don't remember.
We have no problems with Kevin Smith here.
Oh no, I was just wanted to give credit where credit is due.
So she says that this is her people's legacy to represent hundreds of years of medical knowledge. Introductions are adorably awkward, and Carson is smitten.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Carson is
just charming.
Anything, whatever you say.
Hi, I love you.
I love you.
Can I take you home?
Let me talk to you in my super lovely accent some more. So, I mean, Carson's eyes twinkle no matter what.
Yeah.
But they're like extra twinkle now.
Yeah.
So the team leaves Carson to do what Carson does. And they walk through the tunnel.
They're like, hey, there's a lot of sexual tension here, so we're just gonna leave you guys. Bye.
That can't end badly at all.
We don't wanna be part of this. We don't wanna watch this.
Go do some like instead of foreplay, it's just like science play.
Yeah, it's just
it's like
just getting like I can just almost smell the pheromones. It's freaking me out. We're gonna go.
So Durin continues to explain what the promise of this drug is to their people. Taylor's doubtful because cullings are literally just a part of existence here.
Yeah.
Like there's not even Taylor doesn't even know how to contemplate life without culling.
Yeah, it just shows how different the approaches can be because they all are aware of the wraith.
Yeah.
And Taylor's like it's death. Death happens, it's gonna come. Whereas the people on this planet are just like, no.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight this shit.
Yeah.
It's what a different amount of it's just like I don't know. It sounds bad, but it's like there's this bit of defeat in how Taylor deals with it.
It's partly in I think defeat's a really interesting word for that because part of me, and I was just about to say, if we were the Hoffins, if like you took Earth and sort of the Earthling mind frame and put it into this galaxy, I can't say that our culture and our society wouldn't do what the Hoffins do.
I mean, consider how much we fight diseases now.
Exactly.
And if we're treating it like such.
Exactly. And then I think it's defeats from our point of view.
Sure.
Whereas to Taylor, it is like, this is us defeating them from our time frame. As many of us of our people don't die, that is a success.
That is a defeat, yeah.
You know, that's a success. For every single person of our village, of our planet that doesn't die is one victory in our box.
I'll take that.
You know what I mean? So it's all the perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, you know, part of the culling as well is just also to stop people from advancing too far with the technology that they could be a threat to the Wraith. Which is why we already have and will see more societies that hide.
Yeah.
That aren't as out in the open with their technology. Because even Taylor, like, they're clearly have some high technology, but they don't use it in an outwardly facing way.
Right. Everything's kept kind of stealthy so that you can avoid. Basically, the goal is to avoid detection.
Yeah. So the Hoffins are sure they can win, and he leads them to this huge library. They hide these archives around the city. There's a whole bunch of them. They're all duplicates of each other. And the idea that if the Wraith take one of these libraries out, there's going to be others, and this has the entire history of their people.
And I understand that this is a really like solemn moment and why they built these, but dear God, that library is really cool.
I know. It's like Beauty and the Beast moment. I'm like, I want to be where all the books are.
What do you think Daniel would do if he just saw this?
Oh, he would never leave.
He'd be like, I live here now.
I live here now. Come back for me in ever.
Yeah. Come back for me when the culling starts.
So
sorry.
150 years ago, scientists were really close to creating a prototype of this drug, only to be wiped out at the last seconds.
Mm-hmm.
They've been working on it since then. And the Hoffins believe that if they are no threat to the Wraith anymore, if the Wraith can't feed on them, then the Wraith are just going to move on and ignore them. Taylor's like, but are they though?
Not how they do things.
It's
very optimistic thinking.
Very optimistic.
She's like not real.
Kind of just might wipe you out instead.
They're kind of just shitheads, guys.
And I do like this philosophy, as flawed as it is. I like the ultimate philosophy of Durin, where he's like, look, I can't control what the Wraith do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do what I do. Yeah. I'm going to do what I can to try to break this cycle. I can't control what the Wraith are going to do. And I can't make my plans based on how many possible outcomes.
No, and I gotta say that I completely understand that mentality.
Exactly. That's I'm like, as flawed as it is, I love that
It's
portion
like
of it.
I only have control over what I can do. And what
Yes.
I can do is try to build a vaccine.
Yep.
The end.
So back in the lab, Perna passionately introduces Carson to the journals of ferromyelins. He was the lead scientist, one of the greatest medical minds of the Hoffman people who found the key to the drug. There's a man who survived an encounter with the Wraith. And through all this research, they found that he possessed this protein marker that allowed him to resist the chemicals that the Wraiths like excrete through their hands that go into their victims that basically prep them for life sucking.
Right.
And through all this trial and error, Farrell was able to make a copy of this protein. He created a prototype of this drug, which was designed to basically stop the feeding process. But he never got a chance to try it with the Wraith. And there's twice that I've sort of done direct quotes from Perna and the journals. He goes, he and his team worked into the last possible moments. They knew the Wraith ships were overhead, and still they worked through the night, hoping to provide one more insight, one less thread of knowledge, not for themselves, but for the generation that would survive. Yes. Tens of thousands of soldiers gave their lives to give them those last few hours. And the fact that the last words of Farrell's journal are known by all Hoffmans.
Yeah, that is powerful.
That's extremely, this is an entire society who is only geared, that Perna is basically one of the most revered people on this planet, really.
Their goal is to survive.
Yeah.
And that's everything is based on this history that they know, this lore. To a point where I'm like, hey, no one's thought about the guy that had the protein marker again.
Yeah.
Maybe more people like him exist. Maybe there's something there. To me, it's like they're so focused that they're like one straight shot. They're like the Drakey boy of humans.
Oh, there's a treat. There's a treat. I see a treat.
I see this one.
I see nothing else.
Nothing else in the world exists except this one thing. The blinders are on. So it's admirable in the fact that they are courageous and push forward, but it's also short-sighted.
And there is a whole trail of short-sightedness that happens among these people.
Which is the funniest part is they think they're so not. They think they're so seeing the future and preparing for it, but in their attempt to do that, they're so closed.
Yeah. Laser focused.
Yowza.
And they also have research materials and carefully preserved Wraith cell samples they've used to this day. 150-year-old Wraith cell samples.
Dang.
So back in Atlantis, Carson, he saw this working. Like, this is no joke. He saw this under a microscope. We were skeptical.
Sorry,
I wrote this word, and I don't know why I wrote this word down because I can never say it. Skeptical. I still pronounced it wrong.
That's okay.
Okay. Carson was that at first.
Yeah.
But he ran his own tests. He used the arm that John found in the pilot, and it works. These
cells.
But even again, if you're this early,
the fact that it works at all.
To Carson, this is extremely early on in the drug creation process.
Sure.
So to him, this thing kills Wraith cells or stops the Wraith cell. Like, this works.
Statement. Yeah, this is the statement. This thing affects Wraith cells.
Yes.
That in itself is
We
something.
now have something grounded that we can start working from. And he wants to help take their work to the next level. He did tell the Hoffmans about Steve. And yes, Carson knows exactly what that means. That he told the Hoffmans about Steve. He's like, I'm not dumb. Calculated risk.
Yeah.
Also, I may have been way a little excited at the same time because science, and also there's a hot girl.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where it starts to get dicey.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let it get there.
So down with Steve, Bates reports that Steve's been quiet. He's not technically been named Steve yet. He's given up on trying to make people see things. John's actually surprised he lasted this long. Oh, and this is where he gets the name Steve. Wraith actually says when he goes, how do you like Steve? He goes, I am your death. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Steve. Do you think they have like names that we would understand.
I'm more focused on the fact that I want to yell that in D&D battle
I
in
am
the
your
future.
dad.
I am your dad. That is all you need to know.
I like that.
So John continues to taunt him. Steve taunts back. Steve started to give some
Look,
info.
I'll give Steve credit for like his moxie's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, he's not breaking
he
anytime
goes out
soon.
like a badass.
To be fair, I don't think he ever actually breaks. He's just he's like, yeah, I'll tell you info that is dumb for you to know if you give me
Fine.
food.
Yeah, here's all the things that are gonna happen to you, you dumb shit.
So in the conference room, Carson explains to the team that the research is to the point where they need live wraith samples now.
Live nude race. Sorry, it just sounded really
God.
weird. Oh, that's uncomfortable.
That
That's
is
in my
not
brain
what the
now.
scientific research needs.
In neon lights.
No
live
one
nude
needs
race.
bats.
Oh, I can't stop thinking of it.
Are they Barbie and Ken style?
No, I wish they were.
Like, how do they mate? Do they need a penis and vagina?
I don't know. They grow eggs. They're egg growers.
Oh, they could be Barbie and Ken. It's just smooth.
I mean, the eggs got to come out of somewhere.
It's true.
I'm done now.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
This
I apologize for the
all
mental
your
image,
fault.
y'all.
All your
Live nude
fault.
race.
Send all your emails to Grace. So, he and the
Make that a
Hoffmans
part card.
have been working, please no. All the Hoffmans have been working basically on decayed skin cells. There's only so much they can do with that. But Carson's like, this could work. This drug can happen, but we need the next step. And Taylor is still doubtful and still pretty sure that this could all be their undoing and their downfall.
Yeah.
And Brightside McKay is like, well, I mean, even if it goes badly for them, it can work out well for us.
Oh. So let's sum up a little bit here. Let's get into some mild torture.
Yeah.
Slightly problematic
Well,
things.
okay. Let me just say, at this point, they're not necessarily talking about mild torture because it's not like they need to cut off his arm for the skin cells.
No.
They could do like a cheek swab. All they need is some samples
Well,
here.
no, but they gotta take his ass out to get the swabs.
Okay, unless he cooperates. He's not going to.
Fine. Yeah.
He's not going to.
A little bit of mild torture.
Mild
A little
torture.
bit of gambling with lives, but someone might win.
Right.
No big.
I don't know if there's too much life risk here.
All right.
Because they can take, even if Steve doesn't want to go out, they can take him out safely with the stunners.
They can.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But Taylor also sees the other long game. That if there's only some people in the galaxy who are immune, then the rest of the people are going to be called more.
Yeah, she's got the most grounded moral center in the room. She's like, hey,
Can we think about this?
let's consider the fact that we got to save all the peoples.
Yeah.
But also, you're saying save everyone or save no one?
Basically,
Which I don't know that that's better.
Well, because she's saying the only way this is going to be effective is that if everyone in the galaxy has the immunity.
Right. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, well, we don't go to that planet. There's one other planet that
And
we
they're just
pull
going to
more
have it.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John says that Steve blinked. He may break soon. And they agree to try to take a sample from Steve since they can do it safely because they have the Wraith stunners.
Yeah.
So on the brig, hi, Steve. Bye, Steve.
Yeah.
And they stun him, and a very nervous Carson goes in
Yeah,
to do
I
this
don't
thing.
feel good for him at all in any shape or form.
Yeah.
He mentions this later, but one, he's dealing with this creature that could kill him in a second.
Here's the thing. Also,
Two,
Carson's not a war cleric.
no, that's what I mean. He's dealing with this thing that could kill him. He's not only that, this thing that could kill him is now out.
Yeah.
And it's helpless. And so the doctor and him is still like, I've got to like do this thing.
Yeah.
Plus, it's this weird creature. You're like, I don't want to touch it.
It's gooey. I have a problem. I have a hunch that Carson doesn't care about that part as much.
No,
But I care about that part.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah. Well, here's
just,
the thing: we don't know if he's grossed out because he's worked on humans before.
Yeah.
Humans are different.
I don't know.
things.
He was holding that Wraith hand like it was no problem in
That's
the entire
true.
world.
That is very true.
But I also like the difference just a brief moment to touch on how different Janet and Carson are.
Yeah.
Because Janet is a war cleric, essentially. Like she could go in there, and if the Wraith did anything, she's gonna pull her sidearm and put him down. Like
she's
Janet
fucking
can help,
around.
but at the same time, Carson has this whole other side that Janet I think would bring someone else in on. Is Carson is also like a research doctor. Like he's
we'll see so Janet was essentially a military healer.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I can kick some ass and I can make people feel better. I can give life and I can take it.
Exactly.
Whereas Beckett, Carson is like, look, I save lives and then I find other ways to save lives.
Exactly.
And then I save lives some more.
And then I save more lives.
And then more lives are saved because of those lives that are saved.
Which is why I think I would love to fanfic again. Or just if Janet would approach this episode in a different way than Carson does.
Well, the thing to remember too with Janet though is that her moral compass is in a similar place as Taylor's.
And that's what I'm saying, which is why I would love to see, because as much as Janet holds to the same ideals and morals as Carson does, there's this other lens that she sees everything through. Yeah. So again, I think I would love, it intrigues me.
That would be interesting.
So yeah. So Carson,
it is fun to play that game of like, what happens if we drop this team here?
What happens
if we drop this team
What would
here?
happen if this was an SG1 episode?
Yeah. I mean, he'd still be named Steve.
He would still be named Steve.
Because Jack and
they're
Sheppard
cut from the same fabric.
Yeah. Yikes.
So Carson then brings all of the toys to Perna's lab.
Sure.
And her eyes light up like it's every Christmas morning put together. Then they science it up. They're going to start with the delivery system. He wants to recreate the key protein as a synthetic version because it'd be easier and it would increase the efficiency than trying to recreate a sort of natural version of it. And as they get ready to go, he claps his hands and it's like a bald head is soon shaved. And Perna's like, you speak different.
Yeah. I don't know that one either.
And that's when she's like, where do you come from? Like, what is it like where you come from? And of course, immediately he starts waxing poetically about Scotland.
Yeah.
It's goddamn Scotland. And I don't know why he's like, it's acquired taste. No, it's fucking Scotland. And it might be one of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. But she's like, I kind of meant Earth. Because what's it like not having Wraith?
It's not much better.
Which is what he says. He's like, you'd be surprised how not peaceful it is.
Yeah.
And we're spoiled, rotten brats.
Maybe that's
think about
the
it.
condition. Maybe that's the human or humanoid condition. It's to find something to war about.
Well, it's also, and there's been one of the popular reoccurring themes in science fiction is what would happen and what would happen to the Earth taking our current political dealings.
Right.
You know, what would happen if suddenly we had a big threat from space that threatened the planet as a whole? And it happens repeatedly. There's a I think it's something Turtle Dove. I think maybe the author, but he did an entire miniseries on what would happen if in the middle of World War II, aliens attacked Earth.
Huh. Truthfully?
Yeah.
I think my gut would have been Allies retreat. Let them take out the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then go in after.
It's actually...
Which I don't know that that's good.
No, but the plot of this is that all of a sudden we are now working together. In the middle of World War II, basically. We're all fighting.
It turns into Game of Thrones. We all turn to Jon Snow.
We all... Yeah. Basically, Carson is Jon Snow. I make no connection. I just like it. And Perna's sorry for asking because he must miss it.
Is Perna Qyburn? She's not even a maester. Sorry,
oh, God. But he's so much better than Qyburn.
I know. I just feel like it's weird.
But Perna's like, sorry for asking. You must miss it. And he's like, no, don't be sorry, love. And I'm like, oh, seriously, the Carson love hour. I'm essentially blushing.
Well, and then we get right into it, right?
The science-tage! There's pipettes, there's microscopes, there's romance of Bruin.
So here's the thing. So usually in like a romantic montage, there's usually like
Candles.
something gets thrown, like
Yeah.
like flour in the kitchen or something like that. Thankfully, these two scientists are smart enough to be like, hey, let's not throw glass and vials of shit at each other.
Just
This could get real bad. Or what if they did? And it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, remember that time I gave you that really cool acid scar because we were flirting?
we're just watching this Critical Role shot where they're chucking ping pong balls at each other. There's
That's
always
the thing.
reminded them. Yeah.
They should just throw beakers at each other.
At the same time, John is interrogating Steve, and then Perna and Carson get frustrated and tired, and as does Steve and John. And then
Listen,
Perna-
the Sheppard and Steve romance is just as thick as the Perna.
serious bromance.
Yeah.
And Perna reads Carson some more of the journal, and eventually Carson sees something and calls Perna over, and they did it, and they're so excited, big old bear hugs break out, and later on some mild over the clothes action. I'm just
Well, I
sitting.
feel like the second he picks her up off the ground,
Oh.
he's like, yeah, he's getting something.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
if she hadn't completely fallen before that,
That's
she's
where
done
she's
now.
like, oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
where she decides.
Yeah, that's the last
The
draw for her.
deciding moment when
Mhm.
she's like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to the there. I
Look,
would bet
if anyone gives a hug that well, don't lose that
do
one.
not underestimate the power of a good hug.
Mhm.
For all cases, whether it be extremely comforting and just literally platonic or not platonic.
Yeah. I will say that one of the things that convinced me to keep dating boyfriend Jesse and I, or domestic partner Jesse and I, have shared the stories over and over about how it wasn't exactly love at first sight for us, like at all.
No.
But one of the things
I
that
remember the
convinced me to
stories.
keep trying was the man gives good hugs.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I like a good hug.
I have a couple just platonic friends who give like
Yeah.
the best
Can't miss
hugs.
a good, yes. Good hugs are good hugs.
I'm like, maybe that's part of the reason why we're still friends.
Yep.
That's not actually. They're really cool otherwise.
Usually people who give a good hug are usually good people.
They're good people.
Yeah.
I'm a hugger. So Duran reads the results. 100% cellular penetration in all 5 test inoculations. And Carson and Perna pat each other on the backs with kudos. And Carson, this is all promising and it's the start of things. And Duran's like, and Perna are both going, yeah, the next step is testing it on Steve.
Hey.
And Carson's like, come again for Big Fudge. What happened?
Whoa.
Where did the train derail?
Pump the brakes. Pump them brakes.
Beckett and Atlantis, Weir and John discussed this idea of testing this now on Steve. And to John, Steve's going to die,
Yeah.
so we might as well use him good in the situation.
Yeah.
And Weir does remind him that the Geneva Convention prohibits using prisoners for scientific research.
Yep.
John reminds him that had the Wraith attended the Geneva Convention, they would have tried to eat everyone.
Yeah.
Both valid points.
Yeah. Yes. But it is up to Weir to find some sort of touchstone of like, what do I base my decisions on?
It is. And it's also one of those where maybe it's the slight like chaotic neutral sometimes in me, but I'm a bit on John's side of that. The Geneva Convention was written with specific
Yeah.
there was no 100% evil human eating things being involved in writing the Geneva Convention.
There was no aliens around. Well, here's the thing is neither one of them is wrong.
no,
Neither one of them is right.
exactly.
So where do we evolve this to?
Yeah.
Because this is a starting point for Weir.
Yeah.
And she has to take this. This is her baseline. Like
Yep.
this is her like, okay, well, we start here. This is what's been done before. It's kind of like dealing with an unknown illness.
Yes.
It's like we've never dealt with this illness, but here's how we've treated other unknown things before.
Uh-huh.
So we we'll start with this. She's on an adventure of a whole nother kind.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. The new lands, not only physically, but metaphorically.
Yes.
Morally.
And while they don't know what the long-term, and John's like continues, like, we don't know what the long-term effects of this drug are going to be on humans, but we do know what the long-term effects of wraith feeding on humans are, which is death.
Yeah.
So apparently Weir never assumed she'd be going down this road and having to make these decisions when she took on this mission. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
If your imagination could have thought this up, then you probably would be not okay.
Yes.
Absolutely, you didn't think of it, but you're here, and this is why you're here, because you were going to come up with tough decisions.
Well, and I think also when this whole process of this drug, and we have the wraith and the sex drug, she's like, I didn't think we'd come to this point. I was like, but did you not think you're going to come to this point, or did you just convince yourself that you weren't going to come to this point?
Did you just not want to?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because the thing is, this is why you're here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you take on a new job, it's going to be a challenge. You're sick of doing the same thing over and over. And then you get to the hard part and you're like, this is hard. It's like, yes, that's what you wanted.
Exactly. So it's also, we're not just going to be testing this on someone who walks in off the street. They're not going to grab someone and test them against their will. It's a terminally ill patient who has volunteered himself for this. Yeah. So John offers Steve a field trip. Mm-hmm. Tell John something of value he gets to eat. She agrees to. And I'm like, this in the next scene, I'm like, hey guys, just a thought. Instead of transporting your dangerous enemy completely conscious to the other planet, how about you just bring your one test subject to Atlantis, where you also know for a fact that Carson has better monitoring equipment to monitor.
Also, safer jail cell for bad guy.
Yeah.
I never quite understood this part.
This is like bad decision making all around.
I to the point where I expected the race to get loose here.
Yeah, it was
like that they had purposely made a bad decision and it was part of the story.
It was a bad. There's no justifying this choice that they made.
I don't understand it.
But moving on from that, on Hoffa.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
that was also in my notes. What the fuck? Yeah.
So the volunteer, his name is Merrill. Mm-hmm. And it's whatever he has is beyond even Carson could heal or do anything for. And Carson sort of has to come to terms with that. He does warn him, like, the actual end may not be peaceful.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen. And to Merrill's point of view of no matter what happens, whether I die, whether I live, you're going to learn something of value that you can use to perfect things in the future. And that's not a reason to Carson to do this. But Merrill's not afraid. No matter what happens, his death will have meaning. And having meaning in your death and being remembered is something that everyone strives for. He just wants to help his people.
I understand where Merrill's coming from.
Yeah.
I feel like a proper psych evaluation would have been really important right now.
Yeah.
Because it's important to know that these words are his.
Yeah.
And not things that have been ingrained into him.
But in a certain... It's one of those where if you take into context the view, and we later learn the view of almost the entire population there.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, if these aren't necessarily his words, that they're words that have been so ingrained for so long into him that there's no way to disconnect them.
Right, that's true. That's true.
You know, there's no way. They are his words, but he's also been brainwashed to the point of there is literally no way to these not be his words.
Yeah.
So in the hallway, Carson points out to Perna how this goes against everything he believes in. Like, he cites the Hippocratic Oath, which are more than just words to him.
Right. As it is to most doctors.
That there is, this goes against, like, his soul, his being. He cannot grok doing this, basically. Yeah. And Perna says, quote, "The battle rages at the very threshold of our laboratory now. To those of us working to the last know that these few final hours have been dearly purchased, yet our concentration has not waned. We cannot hope to save ourselves, but we can hope that one last insight, one last revelation before we take our dying breaths. We prevent this terrible day from happening again. And
Yeah.
those are Farrell's last words of the journal entry. To her, those are more than just words.
Well, and they are.
Yeah.
They are. They literally, they're all raised on this thought process. That urgency is real.
They, they have this, the two of them have the same goal in the end. They just, their difference in views on it is ingrained.
They've been raised on a different set of values.
Yes.
And if you cannot force your values onto other people.
And what I find interesting here is it's not just a conversation about forcing your values on other people. These are two people who cannot even understand the viewpoint
Right.
of the other values. Like
right.
a lot of times, while you don't necessarily agree on something, you can at least sort of see the other point of view. You can understand where they're coming from.
Ground, yeah.
These two viewpoints, they can't even see the other side of the river to each other.
Yeah. It's tough because I want our guys to be thoughtful enough to be able to see it.
Yeah.
Look, we don't have to agree with it. We don't. But I understand what this means to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do. You have to. When you're people, you literally, you've grown up knowing that everyone died because of this and to save this. And then you're going to choose to treat it differently.
Yeah.
Then what kind of an asshole are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Carson points out a point here, which I feel like he is even further from seeing the other side than someone like Taylor or John or anyone else, because of his values sort of push him further to the other side of the river. And he goes, this is not about making mistakes. This is not about choosing the wrong path. He goes, this is about the ends justifying the means, and the fact that in the medical profession, it is an extremely slippery slope. History time after time after time tells you stories about how it's essentially Thanos of you think you're doing good, but you push yourself and you delude yourself into what you're doing is positive so far that it's just bad news bears.
Yeah. It's a really tough one.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons I love this episode is because of how sort of really deep into the questions this gets.
Yep.
And one of the things that really terrifies Carson is the fact that if Merrill is sacrificed, there's always going to be someone else to take his place.
It just doesn't seem to. He understands every single life has value.
Yeah.
And for the people on this planet, they're all one people.
Well, it's almost it's like their value means something else to these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
This higher goal is in this case, the good of the many outweighs the good of the one. To quote ish Star Trek again. So in the Hoffman jail, Steve is there. John wants to know how many hive ships have become in operation since they first woke. Steve's like, all of them.
Oh boy.
And they will feed on their own. They'll gather strength and then they'll come and kill you.
Ta-da! The end.
So they open the door. Carson tries to convince Merrill one last time not to do this. But Merrill is like, no, I'm doing this.
Yeah. I do want Merrill to give me a little more courage. Give me a show of something.
So
to just fucking say, I'm going in here.
Yeah.
It's so creepy and uncomfortable to watch.
Which I think that's part of, to me, the fact that you see Merrill's strength, because he is clearly fucking terrified of this, and yet he still does it.
Yeah. It's just it makes me sick.
Yeah. So Steve goes to feed. Perna is visibly shaken watching Steve feed. But Steve can't feed. He's just turns away in disgust, and Merrill is just left with these claw wounds on his chest.
Yeah, it's giving me chills. It's just the way, even the way he exposes his shirt.
Yeah,
it's very
lamb to the slaughter.
It's so sick. Yeah. Okay, I'm out.
Okay, so Darren pours out champagne. Calling Carson and Perna heroes of the Hoffman people.
Yeah, see, this is where we've crossed the line.
We've crossed the line. Carson is like, banquets might be a couple steps ahead of where we are. It's a little too early. You can celebrate having this one step, but Durin.
But also consider how you celebrate this, because maybe this way is a little big.
Durin has already talked to the council to approve mass production of the serum.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Perna thinks it's awesome, and Carson's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Again, one track mind.
What the bloody fuck?
It worked once. Let's keep moving.
That was one test.
You could have really used a morals and ethics class.
Yeah. They don't understand why Carson is not as excited about this. They know that Carson wants to run a full tests on Meryl, but clearly it worked. And maybe it had something to do, as Carson says, with Meryl being almost dead.
Right. There's too many variables.
Yeah. I'll mention it to the council. That's fine. Back in Steve's cell block, Ford has called Taylor and John, and Steve doesn't look good. He's weak. He's in pain. The Wraith aren't one to use that as a ruse. And Steve rushes at the bars and collapses in pain. Yeah. John says to go get Carson, but the Wraith tells John to not feel pity for him. He'll soon suffer far worse when the others come for him.
So
a
couple things here. While Taylor's right, and it's not their typical way, I wouldn't so quickly be like, "Oh, okay, then he's not faking."
Yeah.
Because if you're dying, you're probably gonna try everything under the sun.
I think it's more of Taylor's like, it's not my first idea of what he's doing.
Yeah.
So cut to Steve on a table, ready to be cut into. Carson's like, I was just about to cut him open.
Yeah.
And John's like, I was just leaving.
Yeah.
And Carson did run some earlier tests, and he died from all his vital organs shutting down at once. Not from starvation and malnutrition for not eating. He had a huge amount of the Hoffman serum in his bloodstream. Yeah. Carson's actually thinking, early hypothesis here, that the serum actually mutated the Wraith feeding enzyme and actually poisoned Steve as he tried to feed. And if the serum did this, it's not just a defensive weapon against the Wraith anymore.
Right.
It will actually kill them. Which, of course, to Durin is like,
that's great
best of all news!
Yeah.
Awesome! John and Taylor are like, no.
No, because that means that now you're on their radar, you dum-dum.
They're just more likely they're just gonna wipe you out now.
Again, the one-track mind, they don't see the outside forces. Like, one, now they're aware of you. Now you're a threat. Now they're gonna hone in on you. Two, if this thing is powerful enough to start killing them and they're aware of it, then guess what they do? They become more powerful back at you.
Yeah. Durin's just sure that they're just going to ignore the planet.
It's not always about more firepower. No. It's about smart firepower.
Work smarter, not
harder.
I was going to say work smarter, not better. And I'm like, that's not the line.
Yeah.
So it's like talking to a brick wall.
Yeah.
Durin will absolutely not see how this isn't good for his people. Mm-hmm. And all of John and Taylor's very accurate rebuttals fall basically on dead ears. Even if they were to work on Durin, he's like, look, I made the recommendation to the council already. We've already begun inoculating our people.
Yikes. And I understand where he's coming from. And I understand that this is what they've been working on forever. But yeah, they're coming for you. Yeah. They're coming.
So Carson starts packing up his gear. Perna is shocked he's leaving. He's like, look, no one here listens anymore unless you're going to go back and help refine this drug so it's actually just a defensive thing. Then there's really no good of me being here and doing it anymore. And Perna tells him that Meryl is dead.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's like, you have to stop the inoculations at this point. And she's like, no one's going to stop inoculations. One man being dead doesn't mean that more will follow. And I'm like,
that's almost exactly what that means.
It's literally 100% of your test cases have now died.
Yeah. That may be almost exactly what that is. Because he didn't die of whatever other thing he had. We made that clear. So guess what probably killed him?
100. Well, we don't know for sure he didn't die.
Yeah.
But I'm like 100% of your test cases just died.
Yeah.
Maybe that's cause for pause. PAUSE, not PAWS. Although everything is a cause for pause.
Everything is a cause for pause.
Carson's like, look, you are one of the most brightest people I've ever met in my life. Please play no more part in this.
Yeah.
But it's too late. Perna was one of the first to be inoculated.
Of course.
So back in the Chancellor's office, Duran doesn't want to rush any conclusions about Meryl's death. John's like, exactly what you should be rushing to conclusions on.
Yeah.
You were fine rushing
No, you
in.
are rushing to conclusions, but you're just rushing to the conclusions that fit what you want to
suit
say.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The emphasis is that they don't know what killed Meryl. It could have been his disease. It could have been the serum. We don't know.
Again, selective. Very selective. And when you're like, this is fine.
Carson is not willing to risk the thousands of lives on an assumption that Meryl just died from his disease. And Taylor calls over the radio and says they need help in the medical center. And Taylor takes her jacket off to dive in, which means action.
Yeah.
When
the guns are out.
The
guns are out.
The guns are out. And they're stunned when they get to the medical center. There's patients everywhere. They began arriving last night. They just keep rolling in. Carson takes his jacket off, his guns to go to work too. John tells Ford to go have Weir send full medical support, and Duran just leaves.
Yikes.
So Carson calls Perna over to help with someone who just dies in front of them. And he has the inoculation mark on his arm.
Yeah, there's very little they can do for him.
Yeah.
Also, that's a big-ass inoculation mark.
Yeah.
That's like the smallpox.
Well, again, I think it's one of those where they're like, they didn't go through the time of making a smaller, less painful
They're just like, here
injection.
you go. Here's a cigar burn for you.
So John, superhero, kicks the door in to Duran's office. Half the people who got the inoculation are dying.
Yikes.
Duran's like, yeah, half. The numbers are holding at that level. The other half live and will kill any wraith that feeds on it. The wraith will now know the full conviction of the Hoffman people.
No, you don't want that. First of all, y'all need like an FDA system that you run things through.
Yeah, he's already looking ahead to see if the Atlantis crew can help spread this drug to every human in the galaxy.
No, Thanos.
That's what John's like. Calm down, Thanos.
Yeah, Jesus.
Let me take your gauntlet away from you.
You're not allowed to do this anymore.
I was trying to make some joke there about how one Avenger ruined getting the gauntlet away, but I lost my train of joke thought.
Stupid Chris Pratt.
I know. Mainly is because I blinked for 5 seconds as to what the character's name was.
That's okay. It happens.
So, he's like, calm down, Thanos. You can't just, sacrifice millions of lives at your own whim.
Right.
He's like, but we can to end the wraith. He's like, you can't make that bargain for your entire people. He goes, oh, I'm not. A vote's being called right now, and I'll stand by whatever they vote
I'll
to
give
do.
them credit for that.
Yeah.
They're just all they're just hive-minded it.
Uh-huh. So in the medical center, Carson is doing his triage thing and pauses in a way that it's clear that he's been doing this for hours and hours, and it might very well be the next day, and he hasn't stopped yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Taylor tries to get his attention for something else.
Yeah. She's like, hey, I know you're super busy saving lives and everything, but come check this out real quick.
Yeah, you might need. You want a handkerchief because you might need it.
Why don't you take a quick swig of that scotch?
You should, because I know you have a flask somewhere of some scotch. I mean, clearly Carson's one thing he brought with him was scotch.
Oh yeah, that's some good scotch.
I mean, so he runs down the ward and finds her. Perna is among the half that is dying, and he kneels down and takes her hand and strokes her hair. And she tells him that she wishes she could have seen Atlantis.
You literally could have. Like in hours, except you were a dipshit.
You literally could have.
You made one You were one good decision away from seeing the coolest thing that would ever exist in your whole life.
If you had decided not to bring
But-
Steve 2 up.
But you made bad decisions. And this is how you and now
And we literally see both
you
of their
must atone. Sorry.
shame. And we see both of their hearts breaking. This is the serious part of the episode, Grace.
I'm trying. I'm
Emotions.
mad at her.
This is why both actors were nominated for Leo Awards.
Yeah.
That part's pretty awesome. And
God.
good credit to them. Kirsten wishes he had
Too mad at her.
he played no part in this. But Perna tells him that Carson gave her people hope. And with his help, they did not betray their forefathers. They fulfilled their promise. And she knows that she doesn't have long and asks him to stay. And he's not going to go anywhere. And they both break down in tears because it's the worst in the best emotional type way. Like this is going to permanently be part of Carson's soul.
I feel like, listen, I need to bring some levity to this moment
Do it.
because I don't feel good about it. And I took too many anti-anxiety meds and I can't cry, so it just feels uncomfortable.
Do it.
Do they go a walk to remember and it's like, hey, one quick ride before you die?
I mean, there might be a curtain there that they can close.
Why not send her off onto the unknown?
Isn't that how one of the best ways to go?
Wouldn't you want it? Why not? Why not send her off with a good memory? Yes, you'll have to live with that forever, but what's a couple of guilty moments for a dying woman's pleasure? No bigs.
Look, she's gonna go. She might as well just close the curtain.
Just give her a little bit of satisfaction, if you will. I'm so sorry. I'm a broken human.
So after
don't look at me.
So sometimes later, as they're walking in the tunnels, there's a dead body that has walked past them. McKay waves at Carson half-heartedly, and Ford's like, "Are you okay?" And he says "I" in the way of, "How the fuck do you think I'm doing, asshole?"
So this is fine.
I'm fine. Everything is burning, and I'm fine. So Durin heard that they were leaving, but wanted to share the results of the vote before they left. John
I
reads
wanted just
it.
to rub this in your face.
John reads it, hands it to Carson. 96% in favor.
Wowza.
The vote included everyone. Here's my question.
I do like Taylor's asking that question, but
Here's my question. The next morning, were people Googling what is Brexit?
yeah. What is vaccine? Yeah.
Do they really know what they're voting for?
Yeah. I do love Taylor's attempt to say hey, are you sure that everyone was represented
Is
here?
this just wealthy white landowners who are voting?
Right.
At what point who's voting in this?
And also, who gets to say in what the children get to deal with?
Yeah, is it just the parents?
Yeah.
I mean, you as a parent, half of your kids are going to survive.
Yikes. Yikes.
That's mainly my question. Is the next morning, are people Googling what is Brexit?
Yeah, they are. So what is vaccine?
So Durin says that they speak with one voice and they are resolute. And next time they meet, he hopes to discuss the best ways to disseminate the drug in as many worlds as possible. And John's like, yeah, no, because pretty sure if we come back, you won't be here.
How about eat a big dick? Because we're not doing that.
So as they walk away to John, Carson says, victory at all costs. Sound familiar? And John recognizes as Churchill. And Carson's like, yeah, I never thought I'd disagree.
It's such a fucked up one.
So the quote, victory at all costs, is part of Churchill's infamous blood, toil, tears, and sweat speech that he actually gave to the House of Commons in Parliament on May 13th, 1940. It was at least, he used it a couple times. It was sort of the most infamous use of it. And this was during the Battle of France, which started 3 days earlier. It was during the Battle of France that is also when he used the speech a few months later of "We shall fight on the beaches" speech. The infamous,
Okay.
yeah,
For the Normandy one.
yeah. which is one of like the greatest political speeches as accounted by people who keep track of greatest political speeches.
Yes.
And for those of you who are bad with dates, this was May 13th, 1940, and Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939.
So it was a year.
Like this is into the.
Well,
it's more
into
of
it.
like it's into
Got it.
the grid of things.
Got it. Got it.
I will be honest, because of the perspective of World War II that is sometimes given to kids in school, we forget that World War II it started in 1939 and not in 1941.
Yeah. It was happening before the U.S. showed up.
Yes. And so the
it's like if this was one of those like World Star videos.
Yeah.
The U.S. is that friend at the end of the fight who comes in and kicks the guy.
Yeah, exactly. So the
World Star. Okay, I'm done.
It's near part of the speech that this came from is like, you ask, what is our policy? I will say it is to wage war by sea, land, or air, with all of our might and with all the strength that God can give us, to wage war against the monstrous tyranny never surpassed in the dark and lamentable catalog of human crime. Churchill used big words.
Yeah.
That is our policy. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one short word: victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory, however hard and long the road may be, for without victory, there is no survival. So this was the speech he gave to the House that basically got them to unanimously declare him prime minister, like
right.
to back him. Basically,
Yeah.
he'd already been like called to be prime minister. This was sort of his "everyone vote for me."
Yeah.
And he replaced Neville Chamberlain. And although some have said it's a paraphrase of Giuseppe Garibaldi when he was rousing the troops in Rome in 1849, Teddy Roosevelt used something very, very, very similar to this in an address to the Navy War College in 1897. And the quote, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat," is now on the new £5 note from the Bank of England.
Damn.
Yeah.
It if nothing else, it reminds us of the despair that comes in these moments, and the almost this manic desperation where it's like, this is the only way out of this.
And for good or ill, I mean, there's a reason why Churchill is one of the most interesting people to read a biography on.
But I mean, sometimes you get there, and I guess there's no way to understand it without being there.
Exactly. It's more of like a conversation between Churchill and Chancellor Durand would be interesting to be a fly on the wall on.
Yeah. And just, as much as we feel what's right, what's wrong, and what's appropriate, and the SG team leaves, we don't know what they were in.
No.
We don't understand what they existed in.
No.
Even tailless people who know who the Wraith is, they don't know the same. You just don't know the circumstances.
No, and that's why I love this episode so much.
Yeah,
it's moral quandaries and queries,
and it makes us think about it. And I love the little knife at the end of the Churchill quote, like, "Hey, remember we've been here."
Yeah,
because right before that, you think, "Yeah, these guys are bad guys. Fuck them."
Yep.
And then it's like, "Hey, remember that?" Like it kind of whispers at you at the end. It's like, "Nope." Just nopes at you.
So there's a reason this goes top of my list.
Yeah,
like this beats out Rising for multiple reasons. Only one of them being Carson.
Oh.
I'm not going to lie that the Carson aspect does not play a role in that.
I'm going to actually put mine in the same spot.
Are you going to number one?
I'm going to number one.
Number one with the bullet.
Hide and seek.
Yeah, I got rid of Childhood's End.
Yeah.
Poisoning the well.
I think I still like Childhood's End.
I enjoyed Childhood's End. It's just I can't. Not all of them go on my list.
That's fair.
And then next week we'll be covering SG1 Covenants.
Witches.
Okay.
Oh God, I just lost the line from Shakespeare.
Toil, and bubble. Fire, cauldron, burn, and cauldron, boil. I don't know.
Something wicked this way comes. That's all I know.
I don't know that play as well as
is
others.
It Macbeth?
Pretty
no,
sure.
it's not Hamlet. It's Macbeth.
It's Macbeth. the Scottish play.
Yes.
As I
made a cape.
For
our video people, I made a cape.
As my theatrical backgrounds, the Scottish play. Because you don't say the name of it. For those of you who don't know, it's extremely unlucky to say in the theater.
I know that one. For our audio people, I've been playing with magnets the whole time, and I made a cape. And it's adorable.
It will fit a minifig. I have no minifig to put it on.
It's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Here, put it. I have a dinosaur pen. Put it on the dinosaur pen.
Put it on a dinosaur. Oh, it's not gonna work.
It's not gonna hold.
No, it's mad.
Okay, ready?
Okay. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Guys, see us next week. Covenant. Until then, find us on Twitter at Terra Podcast.
Find us on Facebook at There's No Place Like Terra.
Email us at there's no place like Terra at gmail.com.
Patreon.com/There's No Place Like Terra.
I made a cape.
Just like us, review us, and Apple Podcasts. Bye.
Bye. I love you.